Well, I ordered a used Jackson bass, a pointy-headed bass from Guitar Center, Pennsylvania. And this is how the box just showed up. So I'm going to film it while I unbox it. You can see damage here. I hope it didn't screw the guitar up, because this is a pointy head, and they're, you know, pointy headstocks are prone to break. I've been lucky. I get stuff delivered and shipped quite often. And I'm running at about a 2% failure rate, which is awesome. 2 shipments out of 100 have been damaged. Most of them are awesome. Yeah. I hope this is good news. We shall see. Oh, got lucky. I think we got lucky. Yes. Good deal. Yep. It is the, what do they call these? The Jackenbackers. Still got plastic on the pickguard, so I got a feeling this might be a factory second, or I don't know what the deal is here. Did they sell this new as used? We'll have to do a deep dive, but cool. So I've already test played the bass. I like how it sounds a lot. And I checked the setup on it. It was good. The relief about the 8th fret was about 12 thousandths, which is good. And the string spacing under the strings was about 12 thousandths. The neck is straight. The frets feel good. And the bass sounds good. Man, the bass sounds good. The only thing I can't stand, it is ugly as sin. And so that's why it's already in pieces. So I played it. It was fine out of the box. You know, I think it's about as good as quality as maybe a Mexican-made bass by Fender. It's just, this pickguard just clashes with the body style. Bad. So I went out and got me a piece of acrylic. And I was like, instead of taking the pickguard off, just add that. And while that does look a little bit better, it's clashing colors, and that's not fixing the ugliness of this bass. It's just ugly. So I made me a template. I'm going to black the bass out like this. And I thought, well, is that too black? It looks much better, but that's too much black. So I made, how's this go on here? Yeah, like so. So that's going to be my spot bass, or maybe my Snoopy bass. I don't know. I'll show you better pictures when I'm done putting it back together. Anyway, I took it apart and cleaned it. Took a much closer look at it. We'll zoom in here. So let's start at the headstock. Typical Jackson headstock, but all of these nuts were a little bit loose. I like them just a hair over finger tight. And I don't know, is that a crack in the inlays? Oh, there's a gray nut. Is that a plastic nut? I don't know. I need to look that up. But anyway, the frets are in pretty good shape. It is in the middle of winter, so there's a tiny bit of fret sprout, but nothing feels sharp, so I would leave that well enough alone. Here's the routes. I tried to measure impedance of this pickup. It's a low pickup P base, probably 8K, but I didn't want to unsolder it from that rat's nest to get the actual resistance and inductance. And then with the bridge removed, you know, normal bore holes. There's the ground wire. Oh, it fell through. I need to fish that back out. Yeah, and the only problem I see, which is not necessarily a problem, this is the jazz pickup cover, which I don't really like. You can see where the corner of that pickup cover pushed down into the lacquer. I can barely feel the dents there. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. In any case, here's the pickup cavity. That's a rat's nest. I'm going to clean that up. So I'm just going to finish cleaning the base and, you know, start setting it back up, tighten it up, put the pick guard on. I'll fill you in as we go. So while I got down this far, I might as well oil the fretboard, even though it doesn't really need it. So I took denatured alcohol, which is just normal alcohol with ethanol in it so that you don't try to drink it. And I wiped everything down and cleaned it. So I'm going to oil the neck just a little bit. And I like to use mineral oil because it's good at moisturizing and oiling wood, but it doesn't have a stink to it. I just get a terry towel and put a little tiny bit on it. And just wipe enough on the fretboard to turn it colors. And let it sink in a little bit. And that was maybe, I don't know, 2 tiny little drops. So I'll let this soak in a little bit and maybe start bolting the bridge back down. Fish this ground wire back in. Yeah, like so. Well, I like to start these bridge screws, keep them straight, make sure they're threading in right. Pretty tight. And then I just run them down till they just right before they stop. And then I try to apply even torque so that they sit in the counter screws right. In the counter bores, I'm sorry. Tight. That's good. What's next? Let's buff that up. Mineral oil off. Very nice. What's gonna be next? Probably the pick guard, huh? Then strings. Well, I was reading somewhere that some bass players boil their strings, trying to get them to sound brighter or fresh. I don't know if that's a good idea since, you know, these strings and there's an octagonal core in them and then they're wrapped with nickel and steel. But I did read, you know, soaking them in denatured alcohol, that might be good for cleaning them. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean these and see, you know, I'm going to soak these a while and clean them. So I'm going to do the Jiffy Pop thing. Stir these around, get them nice and rinsed. We'll soak it for a while, and then when I go to dry them, I'll wipe them off and see if it did get some schmutz off of them. Who knows? I wipe the guitars down a lot as I go. If it's a polyurethane finish, you know, anything on a modern guitar, not lacquer, but polyurethane, I just use that normal wash and wax. Lucas oil, good enough for cars, good enough guitars, right? And it smells good too. So I'm gonna go just snug all this stuff down, wipe it all. Wow, that's really loose. I don't know what the deal on this guitar is. It's got all the plastic protectors, like on the back of the tuning pegs, on the pickups, and on the pickguard. So I'm wondering if somebody ordered this, they got it, didn't like it, and sent it right back. I don't know. How do these feel? Tuning pegs, that's the only one that's loose. They're closed gear tuners. Not great, but not horrible. They'll work on a bass guitar. Cool. Okay. And then wipe that down while you got everything off. So now, time for the pickguard. I did, when I cut this, I shielded the back of it with, or the copper shielding tape. And this is single ply acrylic. I got it from a trophy and sign store. He gave me a sheet, a leftover sheet, $10. I don't know where I got the white from, but the black is acrylic from a trophy store. So I'm gonna try to put the bass and volume and treble and mid and balance pots in some sort of a logical order. You probably want to see me figuring that out. I'll be back. Might as well show you this. I was looking at the electronics in it. Curious. The preamp in these, can you see that? Cortec GB-3 version A. And this is the monster volume pot, and it gets splayed out to the bass, middle, and tone controls. Yeah. Cool. So I got all the pots and washers in. And before I go to permanently screw this down, I'm going to make sure ground is still ground. That's ground. That's ground. The shields are ground. And all the pots are ground. Okay, good. And we probably have voltage on the battery somewhere. Yep. 8.85 volts from the battery. I should have disconnected that. Anyway, I left everything. I'm trying to point all the circuit boards so there's a lot of room and it's not touching anything. I'm going to lay it down and make sure it sits flat. Yeah, that's pretty good. Then I'll just slowly tighten these down. And same thing here, you don't need to, well, to each their own. I get them snug so that they won't move when I turn the volume. You know, when I turn the pots up or down, I don't want the pot to turn around. But they shouldn't be super snug because you don't want to smash the guts of the potentiometers. So I'll continue moving forward. If I run into anything, I'll stop again, of course. So I got these 3 back screws down to make sure the control plate is flat. This pickguard is so thin, it's single ply, that I can't countersink it. So I don't know if you can see this. Probably won't. I got tiny little panel washers, black panel washers. Just to help hold the screw up so I don't bore any deeper down into the body. Because I want to leave it factory if possible, right? If I ever get rid of the thing, I can take my pickguard off and put the original back on, and no harm, no foul. Oh, you're probably thinking, well, how are you going to fasten that down? Well, I'm just going to use double-sided tape. If it works, is it stupid? But before I sink the rest of these screws in, let's hook up to the test amp. Make sure that's the blend. So that's good. That works. Let's make sure master volume. That's clean. Here's treble. Yep. Mids. Yep. Bass. Yep. So that's good. So it's wired back up correctly. I'm going to finish sinking the screws in and maybe start putting the strings on. These have only been in here for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. So I took them out. I'm going to wipe them off here. Yes, it is getting a ton of crap off of it. So I'm going to soak them. I don't know. Can you see that? Yeah, it's cleaning them. The good old denatured alcohol trick. Yeah, so I took them all out. They're in the house drying, but you can see that's all the schmutz that came off those strings. Well, first off, let me apologize for the hiss in the background. I did this little chunk of a cover in Logic Pro 8, and I recorded it with 3 different basses. My Fender P bass, then I got a cheap Harley Benton Rickenbacker knockoff, and then this new Jackson CBXNT 5-string. I bought it because I needed a 5-string bass, but also because it does a pretty good emulation of the Rick tone. So we're going to play you the original, and then I'll play you my cover version, and we'll discuss that just a little bit. Awesome. I love the piano type sound. It's like a growly piano tone that he's getting out of the bass. If you've ever played a Rick 4001, they are relatively muddy basses. So I think you're doing a lot of tone sculpting with whatever amp you're going into. But Rick DI'd into the board, one of the old ones. It's not a really great sound. However, I love this tone. And if you don't, you're crazy. So we'll listen to that again. Wow. It's got almost a piano sound, but growly. And here's mine. Obviously, it's more scoop sounding, a lot more bass. That's the Jackson neck pickup, and I'm running it in the Logic through a Sans amp. That's a great tone. So now I'm going to switch over to the P bass. I also did this with I got a PJ bass. Here's the P pickup. Here's the P pickup. Right away, you can tell it doesn't have that high-end treble bark. It's a good bass tone, but doesn't sound like a Rick. The Jackson sounds like a Rick, I think. Yep. And then here's a Harley Benton, one of those little clone jobbers, cheapy, $160 bass. It doesn't do too bad. So that little Harley Benton sounds more scooped, and it doesn't have enough low end, and I had to tweak the crap out of it. But over here, you can see each bass signal going in. I've got the exact same EQ on it. It is EQ'd, but they're all using the same EQ. And I was doing this in absence of the real recording. I was just trying to get the tone by by memory, and I think it's relatively good. So what we're going to do here is tick-tock back and forth between the Fender P and the Jackson neck. We'll start off with the Jackson, and we'll go... we'll start off with the Jackson, then we'll go to the P, then we'll go to the Jackson, then we'll go to the P. Here we go. Starting off with the Jackson. Right away, the P bass tone is good, but that high-end grit's not there. So let's get rid of that, and let's listen to the Harley Benton. We'll talk back and forth between Harley Benton and the Jackson. So the Jackson's going to come in first, then the Harley Benton, then the Jackson, then the Harley Benton. No comparison. The Jackson blows it away. So I'm really, really loving the Jackson bass. The Jackson can do the Rick tone. Good enough for me. If I was in a cover band playing Yes, that Jackson would be awesome. And it's a 5-string, and it's got a P pickup, and it's got a J pickup, and you can blend them. It's a super, super versatile bass. I love it. 2 thumbs up. Awesome job. I bought it used. Like I said earlier in the video, it still had the plastics on it. So I was curious if somebody bought it and returned it, or if it was a factory second. I don't know. But I love it. I gave $3.99 for it, and it's one of the favorite instruments I have. I'm inspired by it, and that's why I did this long-winded, overdone video. But I hope you like the review. That's all.